Pacers' undefeated streak in the Chase Center ends 83 points for the short-handed group. What went wrong in this game? Why did Siakam and Nesmith not play? Are the Pacers driving enough? And Jarris Walker, oh boy, one of the worst games he's played in a while. A lot to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope your weekend was great, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and welcome to Locked On Pacers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. How about that? Today, Pacers Warriors in the Bay. Pacers own that building. They looked like they might be headed for an upset for 30 minutes of this game, and then the last 18 minutes they looked pathetic and got run out of the gym by Golden State. Jimmy Butler was awesome and controlled everything. The Pacers just completely fell apart. They were up 62-61 after 31 minutes of this game, and they lost 83-114. You can do math. That's a 31-point loss. 21. I can't do math myself. That's a 31-point loss after being ahead after over 30 minutes of play. They were dreadful at the end. They were dreadful at a lot of things in this game, that some of which they've been good at this season, some of which they haven't. And it cost them. And look, you've been following this team all season. If you're here and you haven't been following this team all season, congrats. You just saw, or you're about to hear about, the story of the Pacers season. They can't score points. They cannot score points. Now, listen. Also, I know that some of you are saying, why are you talking about it like this? They didn't have anybody available. And that's true. So let's start with this caveat now. Pascal Siakam didn't play. That alone is a topic. I will get to that later. Aaron Nesmith did not play after that hard fall fighting for a rebound with Jaden Pickett the night before. No TJ McConnell, no Obi Toppin, no Tyrese Haliburton. Miles Turner's on a different team. No Ben Mathurin, no Johnny Furphy, no Quentin Jackson. Did I miss anybody? I'm sure I did. There's so many. It's crazy. That's also like all of their top players from last year, with the exception of Andrew Nembhard, who did play the back-to-back, which is good news for him. And actually, he had some nice moments. Ben Shepherd, one of their top guys from last year. Basically, everybody else is out right now. They can't score, right? After tonight, the Mavs, a big story for the Dallas Mavericks has been that the Mavs had the worst offense in the league. No longer. The Pacers' offensive rating through 10 games is last. Dead last. DFL in the NBA. 83 points, their lowest this season, obviously, by a lot. I said on yesterday's show after they played the Nuggets, that was their lowest. 17 points one day later. And then the other thing that happened in this game, they shot poorly. We'll get to that, of course. The other thing that happened in this game is something they've been pretty good at this year. Taking care of the ball is like a Pacers thing, even with their dreadful offense right now. They're third best in the league at turnover rate, 13.8%. Only the Thunder and Celtics are better. They take care of the ball, usually not in this game. 20 turnovers, I believe 21 turnovers, because they had a shot clock violation late in the game. Jarris Walker, some dreadful ones. Cody Martin had 4 of them somehow. A lot of guys just had a couple here and there, but it stacks up when everybody has a couple. Ray J. Dennis had 3 in like just 6 minutes into the game. Just a dreadful take care of the ball kind of game. And this all adds up. Like, you can't be bad at scoring and not take care of the ball. You just lose. Like, you just lose the game. The possession battle, also rebounding, is a factor. The Pacers barely won that, and some of that's just because they had a bunch of chances to get offensive rebounds. And oh, by the way, the Warriors didn't shoot that well either. There were a lot of rebounding chances. So all in package, a mess. They did not shoot well at all. And I've done the shooting thing a million times. I'll get to that in a second. But another bad shooting game for the Pacers, obviously. You can overcome that if you're winning this possession battle stuff. Rick Carlisle loves the possession battle. He's big on low turnovers. They're crashing the glass more to try to make up for what they've lost in other categories. It's not working. It's not working for their scoring department right now. And in this game, it didn't either. And then they stacked that with 34% from the field. 32 for 94 were the Pacers in this game from the field. 34%. That is, of course, their lowest shooting percentage game this season, which has already been filled with me talking about how poorly they've shot the ball a million times. I tweeted that I was like sorry that I kept doing it after games, because I felt like bad. And it's not fun if you're a fan of just every game you read someone who covers the team tweet like, oh, they couldn't score again. They can't make it again. Like, dude, we get it. Okay, you do get it, but one more time. This was their worst field goal percentage Sunday night in a game since April 19th, 2021. Third time below 34.5% from the field of the game these entire 2020s, this whole decade, right? I understand who played and who didn't play. I get it. I watched the game. I've been watching every game multiple times this season. This is still, until the last 6.5 minutes, all like experienced NBA veterans who have played hundreds of games in some cases. They should be better than 34% and 83 points, right? Like there's just something rotten about this team's ability to finish plays. And it's not even like I think so many of their shots are just so awful. It's just the whole ecosystem is gone and they can't make anything. And there's either a mental blockade or a confidence blockade or a combination of those, obviously combined with their many, many injuries. I mean, their best play finishers this season, when they were healthy, Siakam, Nesmith, Mathurin, not available, right? So it was a mess. Who could have gotten them out of this? Like, what could they have done? Andrew Nembhard, their point guard, did some good distributing stuff. We'll talk about him, right? 9 assists. He was close. He sniffed a double-double. Only 2 turnovers. Like, they needed him to shoot. And he's been awesome making shots in Golden State. 2 for 9 from 3. He missed his first 6 in the first half. 2 for 3 in the second half. He can't shoot from 3 this season. It was a goal for him to make threes. 3 for 7 on 2s. Also not very good. Ben Shepherd. I just make noises talking about Ben Shepherd now because I know that everybody who listened all offseason to me talking about Ben Shepherd Island and why I believe in his abilities and why the Pacers seemingly do too. He entered this game shooting 35% from the field and 23% from deep. He exits this game worse. 1 for 10 from the field, missed all 4 of his 2s, 1 for 6 from deep. Can't make a thing this year. Isaiah Jackson, nice job. You made some shots. Same with Jay Huff. Jarris Walker, we'll get to you later for other reasons. 4 for 14. And he made half his threes. He was 1 for 8 on 2s. Cody Martin goes 1 for 5. I mentioned this after the Nuggets game. He's one of the few guys that takes, like, I don't think Cody Martin's bad, but he's one of the few guys in this team that takes shots that I'm like, that probably wasn't a good shot. That probably wasn't a good end of possession thing for the Pacers. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, his last game, his 10-day expires after Monday. So he will not be available in Phoenix unless they can somehow find a way to re-sign him. Was chucking 11 shots. He made 3 of them. 12 boards. That dude can rebound. He moves pretty well. I actually walked away from this experience kind of liking Jeremiah Robinson Earl. He can't make anything. Monte Morris made some shots. Taylor Peter did not. He missed all 3 of his looks. You could run through everybody and nitpick things here and there. This team can't make a thing. Guys that have made things before can't. They can't make up for it with their turnovers. And it just becomes a wreck late in this game, right? Because for 30 minutes, again, like they were winning. They weren't playing well. They were barely over 2 points a minute at that point of the game. But they were winning. And then their offense was even worse down the stretch. And the stretch that like really did it in for me on just how poor this was when the Warriors put this game, not away, but kind of out of reach. You know, at that point I mentioned it was 62-61 Pacers. They have a chance to like keep it close, keep themselves ready, get into the fourth quarter in a tight game, give themselves a chance to win. And then we see the following shots for the Pacers. Missed Jeremiah Robinson Earl 3, 14 seconds into the shot clock. Jarris Walker scores. Good job, Jarris Walker, and 1. Then Jarris Walker misses a layup, or misses at the basket. I'll say layup for the sake of ease for the rest of this. Jay Huff turnover. Andrew Nembhard turnover. Monte Morris misses a 7-footer. Ben Shepherd misses a 3-footer. Jay Huff misses a 5-footer. Andrew Nembhard misses a 16-foot floater. Jay Huff misses 2 free throws. And then Monte Morris. And then Andrew Nembhard turnover. So that's 3 turnovers, 5 misses from 16 feet and in, 4 of those misses from 7 feet and in. Missed free throws. And in that stretch, it goes from Pacers up 1 to they're down 10 by the end of the quarter. The Warriors scored twice to start the fourth. Rick Carlisle calls timeout. The game fell over immediately. At that point, it was a 14-point game at that point. It got to a 31-point game. They just couldn't score. Their offense couldn't put the ball in the basket. And you look back at these shots, they're not easy shots, but they're within a close enough range. You're like, you guys just have to make some of these. Anyway, without the shot creation of their best players, right? They have, for 2 straight games, had 48 minutes of a point guard on the floor. Monte Morris, Ray J. Dennis, and Andrew Nembhard. The night before in Denver, they did 2. That's only the 4th time this season. The other 2 times were the Atlanta Warriors back-to-back at home for the Pacers. In those games, it was just Quentin Jackson and Ray J. Dennis. So your hope if you're the Pacers was that having initiators would lift your offense, and it just hasn't at all. It just has not. So even in a game where the Warriors shoot 27% from 3, 10 turnovers themselves, their rebounding was just kind of suspect. They have no Steph. I haven't even said that yet, right? That's a winnable game. They dodged bullets for a lot of this game. The Pacers were winning. They have beaten the Warriors this season before. Their offense gives them 83 points and they lose by 31. This team has to find ways to score, even with this group available. They have to get their offense going. I can hear you about health. I got it. I get that these guys are all playing different roles, different positions, against different talent, against harder talent in some cases. I get it. I don't think that is the difference between what they have been on offense and last, the worst, the absolute worst. I'm repeating the same thing over and over because that's why they're losing all these games. Their defense hasn't been good either, but it hasn't been the reason they're losing. Their defense is 16th. Their defensive rating is 16th. Like, they're guarding okay. They just can't do anything about it. They got to find a way to score if they're ever going to win. Maybe this rest night for Siakam will help. A rest night for Nesmith in the end after he's bruised arm or whatever it was. They played 2 winnable-ish games against Phoenix and Utah to close out this road trip. We'll learn a lot about the Pacers, I think, in how they handle their business until, let's say, Thanksgiving. Some winnable games till Thanksgiving, albeit also some challenging ones. Okay, let's talk about some other stuff from this game. Jarris Walker, no Siakam, everything. It's all coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we do any of that, though, we got to talk about Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. You can trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. We also need to very quickly talk about Game Time, the best way to get tickets for the sporting events you love. Basketball season's here. Nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. Let's be real, though. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when you just want to cheer on your favorite team. Game Time's here to help. The app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. The price you see, the price you pay. You can see your view in the arena from the app. You can grab seats for Pacers games, upcoming home game against the Raptors. They could actually win that. Plus, their zone deals are a game changer. You can find NBA tickets for under $25. The guesswork is gone. Take that out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That code is LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. And we are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen should, of course, be Locked On Warriors. Charlie will have the Warriors side of things. I follow some Warriors coverage people, and they're all like, wow, the Warriors stink. And then they won by 31. Like, that's how poorly they felt like the Warriors were playing for long stretches of this game. And thank you if you listen every day for being an everydayer. And then when I say things like, I talked about this in the offseason or this over the weekend, you already know because you listen every day. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Okay, let's keep going here. First thing I want to talk about is Jarris Walker, who, look, he started that game. I believe his first start of this run where he's been starting a lot was Dallas. And that first quarter of that game was like the best stretch he maybe has ever had in his entire career. I'm now checking the game log to make sure I have the right game. Yes, Dallas, he started every game since. And in that game, he filled up the stat sheet, 20 points. He didn't shoot very well. He's on the Pacers this season. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, only 1 turnover. Maybe the best game he's ever had. They almost won. And so the hope was, okay, Jumbo Jarris, he's fitting okay next to Siakam and Nesmith. He has 17 against Atlanta. He has 18 against Milwaukee. Maybe this could be like a turning point. And it just has felt since then, and it really to me since the Milwaukee game, that he's just been bad. 3 for 11 against Brooklyn. You barely felt his impact at all in Denver. And then this tonight was the worst game of his season. I don't really think that's even disputable. And among the worst he's ever played. And, you play 31 minutes of poor impact. It's not going to look good. 4 for 14. He made half his threes. That's good. Like, his three has developed more than any of his other skills in the NBA. Only 2 rebounds. They need him to initiate, right? They like to have 2 guards in the court. They actually played a Nembhard-Morris duo for only 2 minutes, but it happened. You see Rick Carlisle trying to do this kind of stuff again. The hope if you're the Pacers is Walker can give you some of that. The Warriors went zone. They put him in the middle. 0 assists, 6 turnovers. And I talk about with Jarris a lot that he has a token assist every game that's just like, what was that execution? Where he makes the read and it looks great. He's got the ball. He sees an open teammate. He identifies that that's where the pass should go. Even if it's a hard pass, he tries to make it. And that, like, to that point, everything I said so far, he's done a great job. And then the pass itself is just terrible, right? Or like just like a lazy one, or and the turnover looks terrible because of that. And I keep thinking, like, man, like, he's got the read down. Eventually, it's all just going to zip and connect. And in this game, I call it the token one because it feels like there's one of those every game. He'll have like 2 or 3 turnovers, but the other 2 are more natural. In this game, he had like 4 of those the dreadful ones. 6 turnovers in total, 3 fouls. He did not play well at all. He dominated my notes. In fact, I think Jay Huff I had 3 notes for. Andrew Nemhart I had 2. That was it for duplicates. Jarris I had 6. And one of them just says, good God, Jarris. Like, it was rough, right? He felt worse early in the game. He's felt worse in the last couple of games. That's really my first note. And at first he was balling after starting. It just hasn't gone well. So many turnovers. He just felt weird early in the game. He was like actively harming their offense at times. And then he had a moment that made me be like, okay, he's not focused in this game. I can't. The Warriors were going to the right on my screen. So this was the first half of the game. And he's defending, and he's kind of like on the block. He probably should have been out a little farther onto the wing. And the Warriors get a drive. They get a little beat, and Jarris is probably supposed to slide over to stop the ball, but doesn't even really do that. He kind of lets the ball handler recover, the ball handler's defender recover. I'm really explaining this poorly. Regardless, Jarris is supposed to do something. He's supposed to step up and stop the ball or stick with his man. And he just kind of stands there and gets totally lost as his man just back cuts right behind him to the basket. Easiest basket of the game, probably. One of the easiest baskets of the game for Golden State. And I literally, my notes, first one says, Jarris just lost his man on the back cut. And the second one, all caps, something seems off with him tonight. Third quarter, let's fast forward ahead to the other moment I felt like something was just off with him in this game. And this isn't even to excuse his play. You can't be off and play really bad. 10:49 to go, really early in the quarter. Jarris gets a defensive rebound. He's pushing. He gets to a 4-foot layup, one that he can make, and he misses it. And while he's under the basket, he just smokes the stanchion, pounds it so hard. You know, it frustrated him how bad he played, which is good that he cared, but he played horrible. He played very bad in this game. I think it was his worst game of the season. And he has, the Pacers have to count their blessings this season. One of the things they hoped to learn this year is how good is Jarris Walker. And he's been healthy all season. Like, that is like a very small one of few silver linings that they've had so far with their health situation. I don't know how to feel. I've seen his best stretch of play ever this season, and I've seen his worst. And it's 10 games in, and it's not time to make any declarations about what that means. But, games like this make me always think about how he talked about last year, his ups and downs. And you always hope if you're a team that those ups will eventually outnumber or outweigh the downs significantly. And it still just feels like he oscillates so much. And I wonder what it will take for it to really click for him. Okay, 2 more things I want to get to really quick in this segment before I just empty the clip of the notebook in the third segment like we do. No time to just say positives in this game. There weren't a lot of positives. 1, Pascal Siakam did not play. Rest was the designation. Can you believe this? This was the 3rd Pacers back-to-back of the season. This is their 10th game. So let's say a couple things. 1, I said, and I have to own this, last Thursday, that first of all, I answered the question people are asking, is Pascal Siakam playing too much? I said, yes, very obviously Pascal Siakam is playing too much. And that was kind of my evidence at the time of like, they're clearly not tanking. They would not be playing Pascal. And they're not, to be clear, no one is tanking this early in the season. No one, not the Wizards, not the Nets. Nobody is tanking this early in the season. If you're losing a lot, you're just bad. However, that was my like anti-tank argument. And then I said, I wonder what'll happen with their back-to-back this weekend in terms of will they limit his minutes or will they just not play him? And then that could change my tone on how I feel about this. And he rested a game. He only played 32 minutes against Denver. Granted, they were getting blown out in the 4th quarter. There was no reason to play him more than that. He might have played even less than that. I can't remember his exact number. It was close to that. So look, this is obviously it's very obvious what this is. It's a future thinking move. The short-term gain of potentially beating Golden State is less important to the Pacers than Pascal Siakam's long-term health. Duh. It should be. That is a smart thing for them to do, even if it does absolutely suck that their 10th game of the season, they already have to think longer term. That is a distinct. No, many of you are going to roll your eyes at my next sentence. Get ready, guys who have tweeted the AJ Debance video. There's a distinction from what I just said in tanking. It's not that like massively significant. There just is. No one tanks this early. They played 4 home games. Kalen Cooper had a tweet that I thought was relevant here. She said Pascal Siakam is averaging the most isolations per 100 possession of his career, the most possessions double teams per game of his career, the highest usage rate of his career, the most minutes played per game since joining the Pacers. And this is the second night of a back-to-back, the third one for the Pacers. Yes, very relevant. The other one that I bookmarked was on Blue Sky. Let me find it. I'm so bad at keeping all my notes in the right place. From Historical Marker Ahead, who says, it's not tanking, it's not killing players for a season quickly being lost. Correct. I think that's well phrased. So obviously, if you're a pro tanking guy, you're gonna be like, duh, it's tanking. It's not. No one's tanking this early in the season, but it obviously is. And if this is your definition of tanking, whatever, a forward, long-term thinking move and not a win games right this second move. And we'll see how long what other decisions they make in that vein, because signing Monte Morris for Mac McClung is a short-term thinking move, right? They're trying to win. They're trying to get a better point guard on the floor to win some games right now. Now, granted, to be clear, having a good setup man and organizing point guard helps your young players too. There's value in that. They need point guard play and setup men play, but a lot of their transactions have been about getting the right players on the floor. Their hardship guys are veteran wings, right? So the long-term decision was made there. I did talk about this before it happened. Just very strange that a player is already resting this early in the season, but I get it. Their third back-to-back. I don't think they have a back-to-back again now until right after Thanksgiving. And it's a home, no travel back-to-back with the Wizards and the Bulls. That is another one to keep your eye on. If Siakam rests one of those, and especially if the record's still bad, scratch your chin a little bit. Last thing I want to run through here. I got a couple questions about this after I did my whole offense deep dive for the Pacers kind of deal. And someone said, what about drives? Are they getting into the paint as much? It doesn't feel like it. And I intuitively agree. Watching the Pacers, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel like they're getting in the paint. What I think is they're not getting deep into the paint very much, but they're getting into the paint still. In fact, in drives per game, last season they were 10th at 50.3 per game. This year they're higher than that. They're actually, I forgot to sort. There we go. They're 5th at 57.6 per game right now. Charlotte, Portland, Miami, Chicago, above them, New York, right below them. All those teams I just said have 3 or more wins. That's not to say drives and winning is not correlated. The Pelicans drive a lot. They stink. The Denver Nuggets are last in the league in drives. They have 7 wins. The Pacers are doing what they want. Like every statistical thing that would suggest the function of their offense is doing what it should be. Drives, open shots, and not taking not open shots, and passes and everything. They're all there. They all are about the same as last year, except for field goal percentage. It's drastically different. Okay, let's unload the notebook from this game. Stuff you maybe missed or did not miss, who maybe actually kind of played well in this game, not really, and who did not. To close out today's Locked On Pacers. But before we do any of that, we got to talk about FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. They're the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, or second listen. What games did I enjoy on Sunday? I didn't have a ton of time to watch non-Pacers games. I saw the ending of Rockets-Bucks. It was epic. Şengün was great. So Locked On Rockets for a second listen. Jackson Gatlin has a fun team to cover. This week on this show, obviously 2 post games for Phoenix and Utah, and then Jeremiah Johnson is going to join us tomorrow, and Ben Garcia from Locked On Suns will join us Thursday, not to talk Pacers Suns, but a topic that I'll probably do as a recurring kind of deal if this is interesting to you. What did the season after the finals feel like from a coverage or fandom perspective for these teams? The Suns are good. They lost the finals a couple years ago. I should have done this with the Mavs, but it was so early in the season that I didn't really have time. So I would like to do that to get a better feel on this, although the Pacers season certainly unique because I am starting another project tracking post-final seasons for teams. And now you've heard too much nonsense. Let's actually talk about the game. Okay. Jay Huff, first career double-double. I did not realize that was a thing that happened for him or that he had never reached double-digit rebounds in a game before, but that did happen today. He finished with 11 boards, 9 of them on the defensive end, and 12 points. He made 2 threes. He made 3 of his 5 twos. Jay Huff taking 5 twos was surprising, but as a guy who kind of came in and Joe Mullinax of Locked On Grizzlies said, hey, he's actually like a decent rebounder, and all the stats are like, hey, he's not. Well, he was decent in this game. This was his first game ever to reach that double-double threshold in the NBA. Impressive stuff for him. His rebounding numbers this season have been at least pretty solid. He's probably going to, after this game, have a career high per game rebounding number per minute. He's at his second worst season entering this game, ironically. So we'll see what that settles, but he was good on the glass. He had some post moves that my first note just says Jay Huff post guy with an exclamation point. He had some nice defense early, but the Warriors were still getting the shots that they wanted. And then my last Jay Huff note was like, hey, Jay Huff just took a driving, spinning layup. Why? And he did not make it. That's not that kind of stuff goes back to when I talk about their field goal percentage. Regardless of who the point guard is and who's setting up, like, what is that? What is that? Of course, their field goal percentage is worse if Jay Huff's taking a driving, spinning layup and Cody Martin's taking a contested 3. Like, yeah, duh. But these players should just cut out those shots. You can get better shots with your available personnel. Anyway, Jay Huff had a nice game in a lot of ways. He was one of their fewer, generally felt decent about how he played guys on this team. Isaiah Jackson made shots as well. In this one, him and Huff continue to split about 21 minutes. I tweeted about Tony Bradley during the game. He's fun. These are not notes. Okay. Something about Jeremiah Robinson Earl I just like, man. Like, he cannot make anything this season. He was 3 for 11 in this game. I bet his field goal percentage entering this game was comically low. It doesn't feel like he can make anything for the Pacers. Yeah, he's 35% from the field, 33% on twos entering this game for the Pacers. He had made threes. In this game, he was 3 for 11 and missed all of his threes. But that dude has the Furphy quality of just being somehow he's always around the rebound. His defense is pesky. He had 2 steals. I just like a lot of the stuff he does. He just can't make it. He just can't make shots. Much better for Monte Morris. I hopped on the Pacer recap show that Derek Kramer and Kyle Taylor do. They did this one for their weekly show, and they were talking about players who were the best in this game, and they both talked about Nembhard, and I will in a second. But I suggested Monte Morris should be getting love in that segment. He was 3 for 5 in this game. He made 2 threes, 4 assists, no turnovers. That's going to be his thing every game. He was on the floor for their best defensive stretch of the game in the second quarter, and it felt like he was guiding the second unit in a way that I was like, look at this. Monte Morris is defending pretty well, making shots and setting up his teammates. That is why they signed him. That is exactly what they want him to do. Second on the team in assists behind Nembhard in this game. He looked like kind of a guy in his first game. I was not impressed in Denver. This game was yes. But that's my next note. The bench group defended pretty well. They dodged some bullets. The Warriors certainly missed some jumpers, but had Martin and Robinson Earl, who are 2 defensive-ish wings out there together, and Morris was defending. And then sometimes Jarris Walker was with that group. Tony Bradley was with that group at times. Isaiah Jackson was at times. Shepard got some burn with them. All those guys can kind of guard, and that group did a really good job. That was why the Pacers were in it. They were actually guarding for a while. And Tony Bradley gets the Just Solid award because that's my only note about him in this game. I tweeted that he's like your old kind of dirty, comfortable pair of shoes that you just love to wear, but you can't really functionally wear them to work or with your nice outfits, but you still love that pair of shoes. That's what Tony Bradley is to me. He's just solid. You never want to get rid of him. There's always a role for him to play. Cody Martin was inspiring in that way too, but he was 1 for 4. Okay. Last thing, actually, 2 more things before we talk Andrew Nembhard. It took the Pacers 6 minutes and 7 seconds to make more threes in the second half than the first half, and then immediately they just stopped making anything. That's right before the backbreaker to start the fourth quarter from the Warriors. Also, those smoked layups to end the third quarter was my last just general note from this game. Andrew Nembhard, over 6 from deep to start this one, then drilled his first 2 threes of the second half. His 3-point shooting this season, it has to go in. That was something he wanted this year, was to get his 3-point percentage up to what his playoff percentage was, or at least close to that. He was 2 for 12 from deep entering this game, so he's now 4 for 21 from 3 on the season. Yikes. He can shoot better than that. Even in the regular season last year, he was at close to 30%. He's not even close to that. So he's got to make some shots because he did a lot of stuff better in this game. His defense still looks good. He's already back to a very high-level defensive player, which is good. Podziemski was I don't like going against this guy at all. He had some nice reps on other players. And in this game, I think the most important Andrew Nembhard takeaway would be that he passed very well. He was passing challenging passes. Those toward the rim passes to a running player that Haliburton is so good at, those are not easy. Nembhard had 9 assists in this game, and a lot of those were of that variety. His synergy with Isaiah Jackson was always a thing when they were in the second unit together. That was there in this game. He got Huff a few easy baskets that way. He got a lot of his teammates just on time, on target, created and made the shot easier with the pass kind of passes, a few just like tight in the defense stuff that even in his first summer league when he had a million turnovers, I felt like, oh my gosh, his tight angle passing is very solid. That was the best thing from this game for him, is that in both of these games, he's been able to put the ball in the basket, not with good accuracy, but like he's getting to his shots. The fact that his passing is there and his defense is there is the best thing for the Pacers, who need solid point guard play. But they're 1-9. You know how many wins I had them for after 10 games when I did my 40-win prediction and did their schedule? I had them at 4. Obviously, their injuries are a huge factor, but that was the end of the brutal part of their schedule to me. So keep an eye on the rest of November. If they can steady the ship, maybe people will believe. If they can't, ruh-roh, time to think about priorities and think about what that means. Okay, thank you all so much for listening today. Again, Jeremiah Johnson will join us tomorrow right here on this podcast. You can find me on social media at Tony R. Reese. This podcast is at Locked On Pacers. Till tomorrow, everybody have a wonderful day.